people. Welcome to Chrissy's Books. I am your girl, Chrissy. Thank you so much for tuning in to my book review for this week. So for this week, I have a really beautiful book, and it is The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano by Donna Freitas. So how beautiful is this book? I read this book purely because of the book cover. Like, I judged this book by its cover, you guys. No shame. It's just so pretty and I love flowers. So yeah, I had to, get stuck in. I will definitely say that when I picked this book up to read it, I had no idea what it was about. I was just like, I just want to read it because it's a cute cover and that's it. Literally, like I knew it had something to do with relationships and that's about it. So I do want to give a huge thanks to Pamela Dorman Books for sending me this beautiful hardcover book. And let's get into what The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano is all about. The setting for this book is New York City, I think. I think it's New York City. I'm pretty sure it is, but yeah, New York City. Let's just stick with that. We follow Rose Napolitano as she fights with her husband Luke about whether or not she took her prenatal vitamins. Rose had promised Luke that she would take them regularly, but she actually didn't. Before they got married, Luke promised Rose that he never wanted any children, but now he's changed his mind. Rose, who is a successful professor and an academic, has never ever wanted children, and now the marriage rests on one question. Can Rose find it in herself to change her mind and become a mother? Soon, their fight ends, and with it, their marriage. The story starts all over again, but with the exact same beginning. Rose and Luke arguing over the prenatal vitamins, but this time the fight turns out a little differently, and so does Rose's future. Can she imagine her life turning out in a completely different way? The reimagining plays out over and over again in 9 different lives, all with very different outcomes and scenarios. What are the consequences of their biggest choices? Rose Napolitano's experience of choosing different scenarios over and over again shows us what it means to reinvent life and become a different kind of woman than you ever thought you could ever be or could ever imagine. So that is what this gorgeous book is all about. Stay tuned. When I come back, I'm going to give you my review for The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano and my rating and my song pick for this awesome book. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned to my book review. So let's get into my review for The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano. I really love that title. It's really fun to say. This book is such an interesting concept. It really reminded me of that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. It was like in the 90s, Sliding Doors, I think is what it's called, if I remember right. Where she kind of like, I think she tries to get on a train, so her life turns out different whether she gets on the train or doesn't get on the train. So yeah, you get to see both, kind of realities play out, which is basically what this book was, except there's 9 different lives. So I thought that was kind of a cool concept for a book. I overall really liked, the kind of interesting play of the what ifs in this book. Rose lives 9 different lives, all with very different outcomes. Each of the 9 lives all start out exactly the same, with her and Luke, her husband, fighting over her not taking the prenatal vitamins. And then it kind of develops from there and has a bunch of different outcomes. So I do have to say I was quite confused in terms of which life was what life. In the book, I'm just going to pick it up and show it to you guys. So for example, there's Rose 4, 5, and 6, lives 4, 5, and 6 is an example. But I was just what? I can't keep up with all these lives. But I was not confused about the story of each life. So the structure was just a little bit kind of unnecessary. I don't know, for me. But yeah, I really, really loved the core subject of the book. The question of motherhood and Rose's story. And Rose was very adamant about having children and frankly did not have any interest in having them at all. I think that this is a subject matter that a lot of women, especially now, today, in our time, will really, really resonate with. These days, more and more women are choosing not to have children. And it's quite refreshing to read a book that deals with that exact topic, because I haven't actually really read a book about this ever. So I do have to say it was quite an original take on just like a core premise of what the book is about. In terms of the story, the overall story was pretty good. This is definitely a story that deals heavily with marriage and relationships. So it's very like conversational. And if you're the kind of person who likes to read like sort of drama types of books that really gets into like the nitty gritty of relationships and all that, you're gonna like this book. It's one of those stories that in the beginning I wasn't like really drawn into the story. Like I was kind of a little bit bored, but as I read on and got towards the end of the book, I started like feeling quite gripped, and I was like wanting to know what the heck was going to happen in the end. So it was quite gripping once it got towards like, you know, the end sections of the book. One of the things that I liked a lot about this book are the very, very short chapters. I love it when a book has short chapters because it just makes it so easy to read, and you can just like leave it and pick up where you left off next time without worrying about what you were reading. So I did like that about this book. In terms of the writing style, it is very, very, very basic. Like it's not the most riveting writing that I've ever read. Yeah, it was just sort of quite like underwhelming in terms of like the writing and the actual writing style of the book. Also, I really do wish the book was shorter. Like it did not need to be like 385 pages or however much it was. I felt like it could have been a shorter book. Like there were just some sections that weren't really necessary to me, or some conversations that went on a bit longer. But I will say, if you are the kind of person that, you know, maybe has struggled in a relationship and you're questioning whether you should be with this person, or if you're a person who's doubtful about having children, then you're gonna like this book because it kind of asks you all these questions and like poses all these different scenarios of what your life would be like if you had kids and you never really wanted them, or like, you know, there's just a lot that's kind of like covered in this book that I think will come in quite handy for people who are maybe trapped in like, you know, not so great relationships. And also I think for women who do have children, I think it would be a great read for them as well, to understand what the other, you know, the other women out there are feeling like. Right, so with all that, let's get into my rating for this gorgeous book. So for The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano, I gave this book a rating of 7 out of 10. Yeah, so that means that this book was pretty good. It was a good story. I didn't like love it, but I genuinely did like it towards the end. And it's definitely going to be a memorable book because I've never read a book about this particular subject matter, and I was quite surprised because I just read it for the cover and I was like, oh, that's what it's about. Okay. So yeah, 7 out of 10 rating for me. And if I could describe this book with 4 words, they would be, first one is raw. And that is, I'm just gonna read from my piece of paper here because I have my little notes. So this book was really honest and it was real. And the author asks a lot of questions about relationships, which I really liked, about motherhood, about identity. And she really just goes in depth within the story and lays it all on the table. There's a lot of questions asked in this book. So yeah, it was quite raw, and the book had a lot of heart as well. So yeah. First word is raw. The second word is stimulating, and that is because this book is very thought-provoking. You know, it asks a lot of questions about motherhood and the choices that some women make to not have children. You know, I mean, it could be because of a number of reasons, and she covers all of that in this book, which I really liked. It's a very progressive book. It's a book that a lot of women will relate to these days. A lot of millennial women are choosing to not have children. So it is definitely quite a stimulating, thought-provoking read. And I feel like this book will be really, really great for book clubs because there's lots to discuss in this book. And it just gets all up in there, and there's just so much to talk about. And it's a book for all women to read, you know, even women who have had children. It's just good to read. The third word is tender. This book is a very sensitive read. It deals with a subject that you don't often hear about. You know, like I said, this is the first book that I've read about, you know, women who don't want to have kids. Like, I actually have never read a book that deals with this, and I really appreciate the author for bringing this book to us and having it out there, you know, because it's sort of like a bit of a taboo, you know, these days. But yeah, like I said, more and more women are coming out and just like, I don't want kids, and that's okay. Very tender read. The fourth word, last but not least, is compelling. So this book draws you in more and more as you read. Like, every chapter I was reading, I just was like wanting to like read more about this story. Yeah, and it was just really gripping towards the end of the book. So yeah, very like compelling read. So all in all, The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano is ultimately a book about identity. It's a book about motherhood and about having the option to choose to not have children. And it's about marriage, it's about relationships, it's about betrayal, divorce, loss, and death. You know, quite a lot happens in this book. It's about mother and daughter relationships as well, and finding your own truth and finding your own way to live life and your identity in this world, basically. I really enjoyed the core subject of this book. The book definitely had some flaws, you know, like I said before, but ultimately, I will definitely remember this story for years to come. And it's a thought-provoking read and a perfect book for book clubs, for sure. All right, let's get into my song pick for this beautiful book. Like, I just really want to appreciate this book cover. Like, how pretty is this book? It's just so pretty. I love it. I just love flowers so much. I really do. So hey, yeah, it's just gorgeous. So for the song pick for this beautiful read, I wanted a song that was, you know, quite feisty, and I actually found the perfect song for this book, sung by a man. And I actually kind of wanted like a more empowering song from a woman's perspective. So I actually chose 2 songs because this song, the first one, the one written by a man, is literally what this book is about. Like, even the title of the song, you're just gonna laugh. I'm gonna link it so you have to watch the song and listen to it. Because the lyrics are just pretty brilliant and spot on for this book. But the other song pick that I'll choose will actually be from a female and just kind of like a strong feminist song, like, you know, like So the song that I'll link after this, which you should check out, which is just should be the obvious pick for this book, is a song called I Don't Want Kids. I mean, how like perfect is that? And it's by a singer called Thomas Benjamin. I'll link it. Please listen to the lyrics. It's just so funny, and you'll get the main gist of what this book is about. But my actual like other song pick that I really just love, and it's all about female empowerment. It's a feminist song. It's just like about living life the way you want to live it and not what society tells you should do. Is an epic song from the 2000s. I love this song, and it is Can't Hold Us Down by X-Tina. This is when she was going by X-Tina, and Lil Kim. So I will link that as well below because this song is just so much fun, and I love this music video, and I love this phase of Christina Aguilera, the X-Tina version. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you Donna Freitas for writing such a great subject that a lot of women can relate to, and I really, really appreciate this book being out there in the world. So yeah, I'm just thankful to have this. So thank you so much, and have an awesome week, you guys.